You get no love as like the industrial supplier. Like no one's inviting us to any parties. There's nothing going down. Rihanna's not saying like, thanks for the podiums, guys. Thanks for the bars. Come to the backstage party. It's just not happening, man.
Hey, podcast listener, even if you are alone in your entrepreneurial journey, know that today, right now in your earbuds, you are joined by thousands of entrepreneurs from all around the globe seeking to grow better, more profitable location-independent businesses. If you'd like to learn more about what we do and download our entire back catalog, check out tropicalmba.com.
Yeah, buddy, happy Thursday morning. It's the Tropical MBA podcast. You can find all the show notes, links, and resources from this episode at tropicalmba.com/flashbar. Speaking of flashbar, I believe that was your nickname in high school, right, boss man?
It was, man.
All the way from Mexico. We should play you in, I think, with some classy mariachi music. Are these guys driving you nuts yet down there, or how do you like Mexico?
I love Mexico, man. I think it was a great choice. I'd never really been here before. You know, we should talk a little bit about Mexico versus, say, Asia.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we'll get to that in the news segment. On today's show, it hasn't been all coconuts and burritos for the boss man. With our team, you've helped to organize one of our most successful product launches, and it's really exciting because we used a lot of our rip, pivot, jam principles. We did a lot of things right, we did a lot of things wrong, and I think this is going to be relevant for people in the audience that are running drop ship sites, that have their own products or want to get into e-commerce. So we're just going to lay it out there, what we've done with the portable bar company to have this really successful launch. So let's talk about Mexico first, though. I'm curious, how do you think it stacks up to a place like, say, Thailand here in Southeast Asia?
Mexico is a pro destination. These folks have been doing tourism for a long time. So when you come here, everything is really figured out, which I think is very nice. But there's still some adventure to be had. So I escaped Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam before. Dan, as you know, the cost of Europe is just absurd. Going out to dinner, you know, 2 people, no drinks, $60, $70 at your neighborhood eatery. I was just hemorrhaging money. You know, I escaped Mexico for a couple of reasons. One, because I knew that I was going to be back in North America, specifically the States, for March. And I thought, hey, let's head back over this way. I've never been to Mexico before. Specifically, I'm in Playa del Carmen. The things that I really like about Playa del Carmen, you have kind of all the bougie things that I like. So there's a vegan and vegetarian restaurant. There's the brand new yoga studio. There's the pristine beaches. There's the easy transport on the collectivos and the taxis.
I'm sure they have a Tom's footwear outlet and a skinny jeans shop.
Exactly. There's all of that. In that respect, there's a lot of things that I value here. And so it makes it really easy. Now, what it doesn't have, a community for entrepreneurs down in Playa del Carmen. It doesn't have co-working spaces. I think there's one, actually. I haven't been there, so maybe I'm not that interested in it. It doesn't have a good cafe scene. I work a lot at my house right now. But all this is to say, Dan, I think it's a very viable place for digital nomads. The cost is very low, and the weather is awesome.
So you said something shocking to me, and I think really cool, that in May and June you were planning on going back to Prague. And some of the listeners will remember that you'd done an Airbnb apartment there, and we went to MicroConf, and that was great. Before we go into an entire episode comparing random cities in the world, I'm curious, could you do a cost of living comparison between Amsterdam, Mexico, and Prague, all hugely desirable places to base yourself for a few months?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say one more thing about Mexico real quick. A lot of the reason why, Dan, people are living in Vietnam and Chiang Mai is because there's a lot of other DCers there. There's a lot of other entrepreneurs there. I think Playa del Carmen and places in Mexico that I haven't been, that I've heard that are similar to Playa del Carmen, is just as good as an option as these places in Asia, but we just don't have the gravity in terms of entrepreneurs here yet. Playa del Carmen and places in Thailand, places in Vietnam, about the same level in terms of cost. Dan, we're finding with these service apartments and these Airbnb places, like everybody's kind of getting on the same page. So, my budget personally for me is about $1,000 a month, and I can achieve that very nicely. In Playa del Carmen, I have a 2-bedroom apartment for that price. In terms of the cost of Amsterdam, way off the charts. You're going to spend anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 in rent. And like I said, food is ridiculous. But Prague, on the other hand, Prague is a little gem. And I think that you can live in Prague. I know that you can live in Prague because I've done it for about the same cost actually as you can in Mexico, which is amazing. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he said that he went to Prague when it first opened up. I think it was back in the late 90s. And he said it was the cheapest place on the planet that he's ever been to. I think that they're just starting now to kind of catch up because Prague is very awesome. Tons of hipster stuff, tons of nice accommodations. So Prague is the only place I've ever been in kind of westernized Europe that you can spend Asia prices. So I will be going back, and I hope you'll be joining me.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, you don't have to twist my arm. Prague's an amazing city, and for rent prices like that, sounds like fun. I've been thinking about this thing, Ian. I'm just going to inject this idea that, when you get to a certain lifestyle level, you said you were spending $1,000 a month on your rent. I believe when we lived in San Diego, we were probably only spending about $600 a piece, right? So you've upgraded a little bit, but you're probably getting a lot more for that. There's this interesting level I've been thinking about, and I'm curious if people in the audience have thought about this. When you get to the level that you basically can just go directly into a hotel or a managed apartment. The ballpark rate for this kind of thing is maybe, between $75 and $100 a day in terms of your living expenses. If you can just go into a hotel or go into a managed apartment or a condo, all of a sudden the limitation of lease and the importance of having a place to stay can go away at any time. It doesn't mean that it needs to, it just melts away. Like you can get on an airplane and then check into a hotel. Most people, when they check into a hotel, the timer starts going like, hey, you got to get out of this place, right? Like you checked into a hotel. I mean, that's going to crush your budget. But I think if you get your budget to this level where it's, say, $100 a day or whatever, you're kind of in this business class realm. And all of a sudden, it's an interesting thought experiment for me. Like, what does your life look like when it's no longer revolves around the structures of leases and the structures of having to have a home? I don't know the answer to that question, but it's something that I've been meditating about.
Yeah, I think I'm fairly qualified to talk about that. I mean, I've been doing it for the last year. And I think what it comes down for me is, first of all, is variety. So 2013 for me was all about kind of exploring the globe and seeing what I liked, and seeing where I want to revisit, seeing where I want to build potentially a home base. Having that $50 to $100 a month budget or a day budget is really key for that. But I think, the most important thing I learned from that is deciding where kind of home is. I mean, it puts a real emphasis. When you're less, I guess, concerned with the cost, you get more concerned with everything else. And so you say, hey, all things being equal, I'm willing to spend $100 a day. Where do I really want to be?
Well, buddy, I smell a whole nother episode and a European visa in your future. But first, I think we should get on to the meat and potatoes and try to deliver some product launch value. On this week's episode, we are going to talk about how we used Rip, Pivot, Jam, and we've added 2 extra categories. Blam for our successes and blap for all the things that went wrong. Rip, Pivot, Jam, Blam, blap. We're going to walk through the process of putting the flash bar. You can check it out. We're going to have a link to that at tropicalmba.com/flashbar. We're going to link to this product so you can check out exactly what we're talking about and exactly what we did to make this such a success. And it wasn't just us, by the way. Big hat tip to our whole team in California who are the boots on the ground on this stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't just us, it was barely us, I think is what we meant to say there.
What inspires you to declare success, to call me and say, this was the greatest? Why do you have this impression? Or is it a spreadsheet? Is it a number? What makes you feel like we did things right this time around?
Yeah, it's definitely a number. We set out with goals at the beginning of this thing. So 9 months ago, this whole thing started. And we sat down and we said, okay, these are our goals. These are our KPIs. This is what we want to achieve. It was kind of Judgment Day about a week ago after we got back from the trade show. And we achieved all of our goals. So that's what made us a success.
But let's talk about a little bit about this idea that a lot of internet marketers in our community are doing, which is they're just pure drop shippers, versus this idea that we're trying to do with the Portable Bar Company and turn it into a real recognizable brand with unique products. Where do you come down on this whole spectrum?
I've been thinking about this a lot, Dan, and people get into drop shipping and making sure that you're getting into drop shipping for the right reasons. As we talked about earlier on in this year, Dan, we sold our drop ship site, and we are continuing to focus solely on building brands and building products. Drop shipping is okay. It can lead to building brands and products. And I think those are the circumstances in which you should drop ship. So just to be clear, Dan, on this, and you and I might have a little bit different philosophies on this. I think if you are drop shipping, you don't control your manufacturing, you don't control the product. You're just purely saying, okay, X company makes Y product. I just resell Y product. I don't have any kind of agreement written that says 10 other people can't sell this product. I'm just drop shipping this product for them. I think eventually you're going to get bowled over by companies like Amazon. I think there's no question about it. 5 years from now, you're going to be out of business.
There's a difference. I think here's how you make the difference. As a gateway drug to either product design or brand dominance, drop shipping is great, right? It's like a canary in the coal mine. But if you are, like you said, selecting a drop shipping niche that you cannot or will not or have not or whatever, going to create a great, remarkable product or a great, remarkable brand, however you get there. You mentioned earlier when we were talking like air conditioners or whatever, like if you're not going to be able to, really create a remarkable air conditioner within the medium term timeline, I think it's just an arbitrage play. If arbitrage, then bad, because you're going to get squeezed out. So what's the point of spending your hard-earned energy on something that's not going to last? But if it's a gateway drug, like, I think with our dropshipping site, that was the strategy. Hey, we're going to see what's going on with the marketplace. We're going to have awesome intelligence. We're going to have high bandwidth relationships, customers and stuff giving us information. And then we're going to decide whether we become a manufacturer or not. Hey, by the way, speaking of Mexico, I hear some construction in the background.
Hey, so, man, no doubt. I can't escape it. I mean, it's like, look, if you're paying the kind of prices you're paying in Mexico and Thailand and Vietnam, we've got to expect some growth. We've got to expect some hammers.
Exactly. It's upside. Last week when we recorded the podcast, literally they started turning on a buzz saw. Like when's the last time you saw a buzz saw? It's like of all the tools that you could pull out, the most comic one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to get back to your gateway drug comment, Dan, on drop shipping. The idea here is to get market intelligence. The idea here is to get manufacturing intelligence and then go manufacture your own product.
But here's what you're saying. You're saying something more, which is that because drop shipping is happening in our community right now, in the digital nomad community. It's sort of like 4 years ago it was information products, and then it was, Amazon stores, and now it's drop, or whatever. So there's all these kind of trends that happen, or it was membership sites, and then it's this, and then it's that. Now, drop shipping is great, but if you can't see yourself manufacturing the product someday, or somehow getting yourself into a partnership where you have great products, you will get squeezed out. And I think that that's the warning that I want to put across. You will not be able to win the PPC game for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And that's really like the long ball thinking. You want to be sitting on an asset 5 years from now. You don't want to be sitting on a pile of PPC reports that you have to make sure stay optimized constantly. There's a difference there.
What you said there, I think, is the key differentiator in a product-based business, a manufacturing business, and a drop shipping business, Dan, is what does the asset look like for you? What does the asset look like in the beginning, and what does the asset look like in the end, 5 years down the road? I want to point this out. I'll tell you why people get into drop shipping, Dan, and it's not a bad reason why. The reason people get into drop shipping is because it costs zero money to get into drop shipping. And I can relate to that. There was a time where we had zero monies and we had to get into a business, and hey, that's appealing. But look, like the big dogs, they use money to make money, okay? And if you're starting your own business and you're starting with zero, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Like you said, it's got to scale into something else, So yes, Dan, when we started with a bump of cash. We had a cash investor in our business. We started and we went and manufactured a product. And that's exactly what we did with the portable bar company. That's what we're going to talk about today with the flash bar. When you start these drop shipping businesses, I get it. The appeal is because it costs zero to get in. But realize that little or that low barrier to entry is the same for everybody. And so therefore, it's going to be very competitive, and it's not necessarily going to be sustainable.
Yeah, and you might not want to mention your niche at a cocktail party. And here's the other thing that I want you to think about if you're drop shipping and you're doing the canary in the coal mine, the gateway drug thing, that what we're going to talk about today cost us, what are you going to say, Ian, ballpark $50,000?
Yeah, about that.
Probably our first development cycle, probably about the same.
Yep.
for the valet stuff. So here's what I want to say. For people that if you That's in your future if you want a sustainable business. So if you do get out the door, know this, like you're not displacing this injection of $50,000. Like if you don't make it, you could get squeezed out anyway. And in the case of drop shipping businesses, if you have to live off of them and your margins are thin anyway, when are you going to have $50,000 laying around to put back into the business to do a product development cycle? So in other words, what I'm trying to say is like, it might make sense to like up level your mindset and to get yourself into this earlier. Because it could be easy to sit around for like 12 to 24 months and just like knock out PPC campaigns and advertising stuff and keep going. And then at some point, like you're going to need to inject this cash anyway. And that's cool. Like if you want to test it out, but you're going to get to the stage and I think that's cool. That's the name of the game, but getting yourself to the mindset level where you want to build this asset, where you have a warehouse full of product that's yours and that other people will buy from you, and that's an asset that you own, that's a good thing because it sucks getting knocked off the first page of Google.
Final point on this, Dan. If you're a drop shipper, our buddy Simon was telling me, because he's a successful drop shipper, but he does it in a little bit different way on Amazon. He's a genius. He was telling me that and this hasn't happened to us before because our products, we just don't have this kind of product, but Amazon will come to you. If you're selling sunglasses on a Yahoo site, Amazon will come to you and will say, hey, you should be selling on Amazon because we're going to give you more exposure and we're going to help you out. Okay, so Amazon is actively recruiting drop shippers from the internets to come sell on Amazon. So that's what you're up against, right?
You're up against everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay, can you tell us about how you pulled this whole thing off? How this 9 months went down? So you're saying 9 months, $50,000. Hopefully we can give people an insight. I realize this is a high level thing, but I think there's a lot of people that want to get into product. It's a good business model. So how do we get from theportablebarcompany.com with a few pilot fish to launching this product and having an amazing weekend at the trade show? Well, we started with RIP. From RIP Pivot Jam, we added 2 more categories for this week, Ian. Blam, which is the good stuff, and Blap, which is the bad stuff. So RIP Pivot Jam, Blam, Blap. So our RIP, we are having a website with a few bars up there. Things are going okay. But we're not quite staying at the 5-star resort down there in Mexico, Ian. We're getting the modest managed apartment. Why isn't this site taking off? And so we start looking around the internet. What do we find?
Yeah, well, to be fair, it was taking off. I mean, we almost grew by 100%, but year over year, but that just wasn't good for us. So, we had a bunch of people coming to the site. They were buying products, but we had a disproportional, in my mind, we had more people coming to the site and less people buying. So when that happens, I think, okay, is something wrong with our PPC campaigns? Are we driving the wrong kind of traffic? No, we're driving the right kind of traffic. I think we just didn't have the right product. And so we kind of went back to the sketchboard and we said, okay, what's the right product? And so we started to look around. Alistair, he found a product that was being manufactured in England and only in England and seemingly not very well or on a scale that wasn't super attractive to us. And so we said, hey, I think that we can do that. We can do it bigger. We can do it better. Let's give this thing a try. In the meantime, let's do it on the tightest timeline we've ever tried to achieve because we're trying to go to this trade show. And so that's where we are now, basically, is 2 weeks off this trade show.
Was it the case of having the website up and being in the industry and talking to everybody that you found out about this stuff? Or could have you just made a better decision at the very beginning?
Dan, it's like one of these things. We were talking about this last night, unrelated topic, but the same kind of strategy. You got to get started to know where the opportunities are. And so, I think by us selling portable bars, by us being interested in portable bars, talking to people give you tips. Hey, you should be at this trade show. No, you should develop this product. I buy 5,000 of these products a year. Why aren't you making this product? You have to be in the conversations to see the opportunities. So I'm not sure if we were just starting off, if we would go manufacture this product, but because we're in the industry for 2 years, we got insight, and then eventually it led us to this product. So this stuff takes a long time, man.
We ripped. We found a product out there in the marketplace that seemed to be doing well, but we knew we could do better. So we pivoted it. We brought it into our manufacturing process. We gave it to our suite designers. We changed things. We found efficiencies. We don't need to necessarily go into the nitty-gritty of all the pivots. What I'm more curious about, Ian, is what happened? Like, what was the process like when you showed up at the event and got feedback from customers? I mean, was it just nutbags, like people, give me, take my monies, or what did you guys find out?
Total nutbags, absolutely. I think that's what you always find at trade shows, nutbags. We weren't sure about this trade show, so let's be clear about that. Before we plopped down a bunch of money to go to this trade show, we had just kind of heard rumors, yeah, you guys might want to go to this trade show. So in my mind, it was a bit of a gamble, to go to this trade show. It's a lot of money to go to a trade show. We'd never been to this trade show. Our competition had never been to this trade show, but a couple of people said you might want to go. It was in the event rental space industry. Part of the problem, Dan, with this niche and with I think every niche is understanding who your customers are. Are your customers renting these bars? Are they buying these bars? Are they using them at a restaurant, a bar, a stadium? And so we're just constantly still trying to figure out who that customer is. So we showed up to this convention or this expo. We got tons of great feedback. And most importantly, people were there speaking with their wallets, So we offered a trade show discount. I think everybody should do that. But the feedback we got was, yes, we will buy your bar. And that happened several times.
Yeah, so your top 3 trade show tips were warming up the guests with the pre-mailer. So you let everybody know we were going to be there, what booth, and why they should come to the booth. And the reason they should come to the booth, free drinks and cute girls. That still works.
Exactly.
It's 2014, man.
It still works. Hat tip to Derek. Derek put a lot of time and effort into this warming up the audience. So we sent out mailers. I think we bought a list from the trade show. I think that's pretty typical is you can buy a list of all the people that are going to be there. A couple weeks before they come, you say, hey, stop by booth 4000. We've got smoothies. We've got girls. You're going to want to bring this ticket with you because it means you get 20% off on what you buy. People actually did respond to that. People actually did come by the booth. And according to Taylor and Alistair, a buzz started happening at the show. People started to catch on to the fact that we had girls and we had smoothies, and they actually stopped by for that reason. It's funny, man. You go to some of these trade shows and there's like very little of that going on. And then you go to others, like the nightclub and bar show we went to last year. You can't compete with the smoothie machine and girls. Like everybody has that.
Right.
So it's like you kind of got to pick your thing, you got to pick it.
I'll tell you what though, I think, I've been to a bunch of trade shows and what always wins is experience over like benefits. So, if you're giving out like discounts and this and that, it's like whatever, nobody cares about that. But if you have like a putting lawn where there's like a competition and you get to win something, because let's face it, trade shows like 75% of the people that are there don't want to be there. So like give them something fun to do and maybe they'll hang out at your booth and buy some of your flash bars. So that's so exciting. So that's the blam. We had an incredible day launching this product. It's going to be a winner. Now, what's next, man? What's the blap? What's the downside of having all this success in your product launch? First thing, I just guess, we run an inventory business. So now, we said it costs us $50K to bring this stuff in. That's just the beginning, right? If it goes well, you make some of your money back and then you got to spend double to get a double inventory.
Right. Yeah. These inventory-based businesses, these product-based businesses, your money is always tied up in inventory or accounts receivable. We just painted a pretty glamorous picture there, Dan. Set a goal 9 months ago, right? Designed and developed this product, went to the trade show, crushed it. Everything is going peachy. Not really. Behind the scenes, it's been a little bit different story. Man, this was the tightest timeline that we ever had to deal with. Not only that, we sourced a new factory for this product. And whenever you source a new factory, it's always a gamble. And for us, that was the case too. A lot of the product came in damaged. A lot of the product came in not manufactured properly, so we're having to go fix things. This is pretty typical for China. I just want to talk about pricing though, Dan, for a minute and how it relates to drop shipping and product manufacturing. So one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves with this new product is how greedy do we want to get? And I don't really mean greedy in the sense of swimming in money. I just mean, how this is a brand new product. We don't have any competition really. And so we're able to kind of set the price wherever we want it to be. We've got some barriers, right? Like they could go buy a fully installed bar that's on one side, or they could use a tablecloth with a folding card table that's kind of on the other side of the spectrum. So where do we want to be in there? I get this question a lot, Dan. It's like, how should I price my product? And this is especially true for guys doing information products, right? It's like you can kind of price it anywhere you want because your cost of goods sold are virtually nothing, right? And so how do we price this product? Well, I price the product at a point where I think we can sell the most. So It's really important to get market intelligence early on. So if you price it too high, it might be a great product, but you won't get the kind of feedback that you need. If you price it too low, you might sell out too fast. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but on the other side of that, if you price it too low, you might have just left money on the table, right? If I price this thing $500 too low, it's like I've just missed out on that $500 because they were going to buy it anyway. So you've got to kind of strike a balance in there. And that's what we're trying to do now is like, I think it's somewhere for these businesses, it's somewhere between 3 and 5 time mark, depending on if you're going to have to slice it up with distributors and whatnot. But for us, it's around 3 to 4 times.
And we might be getting ahead of ourselves here. Can you describe what this product is, by the way, and why it's such a good product? Why do people resonate with this?
It's unique. It's solving a unique problem that people are having. In the United States and all around the world, people are throwing more events every year. I think there's probably more concerts and more events thrown in 2014 than there were in 2013, and people need equipment for those events. That equipment is just kind of starting to catch up. The hospitality industry it's been around for a long time, but the need for portable hospitality products, that's relatively new. We are on the forefront of that, Dan. We're one of the companies that's starting to develop that kind of equipment.
And what is the equipment?
So the equipment it's a portable bar. Unlike the other portable bars that we have on our site that fold up and roll away, this one is modular, meaning that it's made of several different components that assemble with no tools. It's made to look like a permanent bar, but it's actually portable.
Yeah, and so the basic idea is that you can make a bar that's infinitely long. It's pieces that get put together in different configurations to make round or circle or curving or, so that you could have a 100-foot bar at a wedding or a 50-foot round bar at a concert, right?
Right. So when you're at the Rihanna concert, it's actually our bars are at the Rihanna concert.
Shine bright like a diamond.
It's the bar that you stand at and order your Coca-Cola or whatever.
Did you see that our valet podium was on the Morpheus commercial in the Super Bowl?
I did see that. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, if you watch the Kia commercial, the podium that Morpheus is standing at, that's our unit.
You get no love as like the industrial supplier. Like no one's inviting us to any parties. There's nothing going down. Rihanna's not saying like, thanks for the podiums, guys. Thanks for the bars. Come to the backstage party. It's just not happening, man. Sweating it out.
So back to these blaps, man. I think that there's infinite amount of blaps, but I think what's important, and I want to call back to the beginning of the show where we started talking about drop shipping versus product manufacturing. If you're not on this road in your drop shipping, I think that you're doing something wrong. I think that you should reevaluate your business, or I think that you should get out, because this is what drop shipping leads to. It leads to product development. It leads to these problems in China. It leads to talking to your customers. It leads to trade shows. It leads to all this kind of stuff. And this is the kind of investment that you're making. If you're starting a business and you're starting with zero cash, but you're willing to spend all your time, know that at some point you're probably going to need to get into spending a lot of money, and that's what we're doing now.
Absolutely. Well, Ian, I hope that the listeners got some value out of hearing one of our real stories of it actually went down. It feels sort of liberating to say, portablebarcompany.com, flash bar, like that's what we do. Eat it, we've been so terrified, we wanted to preserve this business and it's really fun to share it with the listeners. And I'd like to encourage you guys, this episode is at tropicalmba.com/flashbar. I mean, we have love for all of our listeners, but we have a special love for the Eric Dubbses of the world, the folks that are going out there and they're building real products that people love, the Jimmy Hayeses and the Dougs of the world that build wonderful things. And so if you have any questions for us about the feasibility of your site, about the product, drop it in the comments. We're always hanging around looking to help people out at the blog. Got any parting shots, boss man?
You coming to Mexico in April?
I'm not, put me on the spot, man.
Putting you on the spot, man.
I'm actually a family vacation in April, man. I can't,
Okay.
But you know what? Absolutely love Mexico. But, I think the Prague thing, man, that sounds really good. Man, that sounds good. All right. So, hey.
All right.
This podcast has been sponsored and funded and made possible by Cold Calls. So the boss man and I both suggest that if you do anything this week, go make one of those. It really is like, we can have all these theories like rip, pivot, jam and stuff, Ian. And we were talking about, before the call, it's like, we don't really know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of if this podcast does anything for you, it's like, hey, like we're not that smart. Like, we're not like Simon. We're not geniuses. We don't really know what's going to happen. We just manage to do stuff, to listen to podcasts or to read books or to drink coffee or to take a jog or whatever it is for you that inspires you to act. Because you even see, Ian, man, let me get into a little rant. People like us, we screw up all the time. We do things poorly, like in a not a great way, that somehow end up getting good results. And then we turn around and say, well, it was because I was doing this. And we're just wrong. But we still get the benefits of having the results, the cash flow, the customers, and that's what keeps you going. So, somehow the theory's good. The predictions is all fine and good. But at the end of the day, it helps to get out there, get on the phone, make a cold call, make a sale. Action Jackson, man. Keep the whole thing moving forward.
Man, I can't wait to do another episode on Valley Up because Taylor has been doing some cold calls. And, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Absolutely, buddy. We have so much stuff going on. It's crazy. We might need to go to 2 episodes a week. What do you think? You got time for me?
We'll see if the internet connection is strong enough. I'll talk to you next week.
TropicalMBA.com/flashbar. That was the boss, man. We will see you next Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Tropical MBA podcast. You can go to tropicalmba.com, get access to hundreds of back episodes and all kinds of other goodies. Load up your iPod. That is the cheapest way to fly business class on your next international flight. We will see you next Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.